I think you just got the first taste of what Florida State Twitter is all about.
Yeah, it came quick. I did it not knowing the reaction I would get, but it's all been good positive reaction. I'm glad the fans are engaged to see what's about to happen, and they're excited, so I can't blame them.
Yeah, no, right now I think Florida State is looking for any kind of positive news, definitely fans-wise. Any kind of positive things happening, both recruiting. Also, you're talking about transfers, which Florida State most certainly as a staff and Norvell are going to hit like crazy this offseason. It is just going to become a huge conversation no matter what. Florida State's feels like almost a month without playing a football game. So any kind of positive news that Florida State can find. Also, most recently losing Luke Altmaier, four-star quarterback. It stinks, but I don't think we need to really just keep on rumbling around what the whole discussion is and why we thought we'd bring you on here for is obviously McKenzie Milton, a star at UCF, man. I guess you can call him a national champion. I think a lot of Florida State fans would actually jump on that bandwagon. I'm going to call him a national champion. But
now they would, yeah.
A guy that is so talented that actually just entered the transfer portal. Guys in here on our Discord know our takes on it, but I want to get yours on why you selected him to be a crystal ball to Florida State.
Yeah, so this morning I got a text message about just Milton to FSU, and I'm like, all right. And then I wanted to make sure before I put my crystal ball pick in to confirm, second source. And a guy from UCF also confirmed. And so I was like, all right, let me do some more digging. Why Florida State? And why Florida State right now, we're not in the best position, but it's more so because what he brings to the locker room and what he brings to the field. Even though he had that devastating knee injury, it's a positive from what we have right now in our QB room. He'll be a grad transfer. He brings the veteran leadership. He's a humble guy. He's determined, as you can see in his rehab. He's wanting to get back on the field. And he fits. He fits what Norvell's looking for. So Norvell's looking for someone to not plug and play, but someone that can show Purdy the ropes and Tate the ropes, and maybe Jordan if he sticks around the ropes. And I mean, hopefully he gets on the field and performs. He gives us the results he did at UCF. So, but it's more so what Norvell was looking for, and I don't know who he was choosing or who he is choosing between, because it's not complete yet. He hasn't signed the letter or whatever, but I don't know who he's choosing between, but two people, and told me Florida State, so I went ahead and put it in. So,
and you've been pretty accurate so far. Right off the bat, I talked to you about this before we went live, but 17 of 21 this year for you. You've also, I want to talk about Garcia here in a few, and then also McLean, but still staying on McKenzie.
Mm-hmm.
You feel pretty solid about those sources and what you're hearing at you said UCF and also FSU.
Yeah. So another reason why Norvell went after McKenzie was because we missed out on Luke. We probably wouldn't be talking about McKenzie if Luke decommits. I talked with one of the 247 guys over at Florida State, and Norvell has been telling them we're not going after grad transfer, but that was probably before Luke decommitted. So once Luke decommitted, Norvell always has a game plan. He came into Florida State with a game plan. He knows what's going on. He knows how to what needs to be done to be successful. So he just plan B. Let's go get this champion, this national champion quarterback. So so that's when things got going. We talked a little bit earlier. I guess it was Thursday is when he entered the portal. Yep. So that just shows how quickly things can happen. within this recruiting cycle, Norvell's on his toes. I miss out on my guy. Let me go get another my backup. And McKenzie and Norvell have a similar, or they cross paths before. UCF and Memphis battled for the AAC championship a couple years ago, went into overtime, and the offenses are very similar. So I think the playbook's going to be very similar. Now, just how much can he perform of the playbook, since coming back from that knee injury?
Yeah, that's something that I wanted to talk about too, because we talked about it on our last podcast when we got wind of obviously McKenzie entering the transfer portal, but also at that time, I think this was on the 3rd, which was Thursday, we were hearing that it was in between Florida State and Miami because he was intending on wanting to stay in Florida. I don't know if that was something that you were hearing too, where he wants to stay in Florida because there was some talks maybe of Nebraska going back up to Frost. But during these practices too, some things were coming out of there that he was, having some pretty good practices, showing out and scrimmages and such. And there was some talk that maybe he was going to be able to play against SF. Was that really a thing that was a conversation then?
Yeah. From what I've heard, I really thought he was going to get in. If USF didn't make that a game, which it surprised everybody that they did. But I was really thinking he was going to get in. And a former teammate of his that I just got off the phone with at UCF just told me how determined he was since the knee injury to get back on the field, and how he attacked rehab, and how humble he was to be able to get back in position to play again. So it's just like he's ready. He's ready to prove himself again. He feels like he doesn't want that image to be the lasting image that we've seen. So hopefully, if he chooses Florida State, as a Noel fan myself, I want to see him succeed. I want to see how he bounces back, rooting for his story, because that no one ever wants to see an injury like that, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And that was an immediate question from Florida State fans and also other outlets and analysts of how well this guy is. And you kind of start comparing what you got now in Florida State's roster. The quarterback situation, a lot of young guys. You got Jordan Travis there. You lose James Blackman, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And you look back and you look at Milton, and he goes through a severe injury, almost loses his leg. Go from what you were hearing, the guy that's hungry, that wants to play and is hungry to compete. I think that's everything that a Florida State fan wants to hear. They want to hungry to lead, not only on the field, but also in the locker room. We know what he's got that's on the field. He's got great arm. And I think most of all, he's a smart quarterback. So I think that's something that Florida State fans are salivating at right now. That's why they're probably not going to sleep for the rest of the week. They want to get the news just to become official.
Yeah. And just like his teammate said, is that he brings a veteran leadership to the practices and to the locker room. He treats practice like games. The guy I spoke with was a starter on the defensive line, and he said he's chasing after him play after play after play, so he's just not going to take the sack. He's just not going to call it dead if he doesn't see, if he doesn't like what he sees. He's going to read the defense and make the right reads. And so that's what I'm excited about. I'm sure Norvell's excited about Dilly as well. So if once the news becomes official, hopefully we get a spring practice in because of COVID, and I'd like to see him get his spring game in the summer workouts and stuff like that. So going into the fall. So.
Yeah. Is there any, this will be the last on Milton, but is there any kind of timeline that you've heard on maybe when that decision is going to be made, or is it all up to the NCAA and the papers and all that for him?
Yeah. I have no idea when that letter is going to drop, when he's going to tweet it out or whatever. But I'm hoping, personally, before Christmas, before the team leaves for Christmas break, or UCF's bowl game situation if he wants to be there with them, or leave right before. I have no idea.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's what all the FSU fans now are just itching for some kind of official thing for them to come, just to see the letter come through or a graphic or whatever. But it does seem like Norvell, so far from what we've seen during his short term here at FSU, counting the season, he's a guy that seems to want to answer quick if things are going in the wrong direction, which we haven't seen in a couple of years, and that's why it gives a lot of promise for Norvell and his staff. So,
what were you saying?
Just keep an eye on what Norvell does here moving forward, not only just for obviously Milton, but other things, even staff change. It just seems like a guy that is ready to answer quick. After losing Luke Altmaier, and then you're already in talks of maybe landing Milton, it just seems like a coach that is on top of his game that we haven't seen in a little while, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, he's on his toes, and then we seen the reports last week. I don't know how true it is of like the coaching changes, of Odell moving to the off the field, and he already has someone in plan. And then just going back to when Norvell was announced the head coach, it was just so quick how he came up with a staff. Excuse me, and he knew where we were lacking in the offense, on the offensive line and the defensive line. And he landed some quality grad transfers as well. So he put together what he could in a short period of time, but he knew what he was getting himself into. So
I agree. Tell me about a little bit of Malik McLean. Obviously, he decommits from Florida State, and you were ahead of a lot of people once again on this news of him leaving Florida State to go to Ole Miss. What kind of gave you the feeling that he was going to leave Ron Dugans and the Seminoles right here? Because once again, Florida State kind of loses a wide receiver. But do you think this was coming after Luke Altmaier? What were you hearing?
I just got a feeling today, I just got a feeling he would decommit for some reason around like 1:30, 1:40. And it happened couple probably like 30, coming up on an hour ago. And I think it had something to do with Luke and had some talk. I know there's some talks about Dugans leaving as well. So I think that happened because of that. I hope I didn't read the letter or anything like that, but I hope he considers Florida State at the end of the day. But I went ahead and put my crystal ball pick in to Ole Miss just because the vibe is Ole Miss right now. They are killing it on the trail. Lane Train is definitely killing it right now. And like you said, I was ahead of it. So I went ahead and put my crystal ball pick in. I feel comfortable with the pick, and we'll see what happens. But big loss to Florida State and that staff.
Yeah, no, obviously a hit there, and there could just be some foreshadowing of maybe Ron Dugans, obviously Florida State's wide receiver coach, on maybe not being renewed onto the coaching staff for next season. So maybe that's a little bit, just a little nugget there ahead of time that we might not see Ron Dugans on staff, because obviously it was a big part in that recruiting relationship with McLean. So something to keep an eye on moving forward. This is interesting here. Actually, this is almost like a little breaking thing while we're on here. Boom. Hamza Nasruddin from Florida State football to the Reese's Senior Bowl. It seems like Hamza Nasruddin
he's leaving.
Seems like he's confirmed accepted his invite to the Reese's Senior Bowl. That's pretty interesting, because we were hearing things a little bit earlier. I think also 247 was hearing some rumblings that Hamza Nasruddin was at a little bit before his first game of the season a couple of weeks ago, he was intending on returning for another year, but seems like a different direction.
That's what I heard. The same up until now. I heard the same. He was going to return along with Kane Doe and J Rob. I want to say J Rob intended on returning. But that's a blow. But I mean, we are loaded at defensive back. So
There's a lot of DBs there. Yes. Let's see. On to. I also want to talk about your prediction with Garcia because you've been ahead on Jay Garcia, quarterback. Obviously,
yeah,
not a lot everywhere, but this is just kind of going on with your predictions with 247. But also Jay Garcia, he's a lot of FSU fans are like, wait, which one if we get to pick? Who do you want to have? You have Milton. You also have Garcia.
yeah.
And what are your thoughts on him and his situation there? Because you've been ahead on Garcia for months. What 4 months now on your
Yeah,
prediction now?
yeah, that was a big one for me because that kind of like got my name out there, I guess. I made a couple predictions, just standard predictions, but not like a flip pick. So that was kind of got my name out there. Like you said, out of the blue, but my sources were really, really close to the situation. I honestly could have broke the news of him transferring to Valdosta, and I didn't think that was a big deal at the time. So whenever I got the news that Miami felt comfortable back in August that they would land him, I wasn't missing this opportunity. So I went ahead and put the flip pick in, went about my day. I was up in Augusta, Georgia, going to the lake to go do some kayaking. And on the way to the lake, I get a phone call from my head publisher at with USF with Bulls 247. And I want to say Luke Stampini was on the line. and you know how big he is in recruiting. So he's like, yo, you just can't put the prediction in with no follow up. And I'm like, all right, I got you. Like, this is what I know. This when I get to a location, I'll type it up and send it out. But it was just like Lashley and Prosh building a relationship. He's closer to Miami while being in Valdosta. At the time, USC took another quarterback, so they had two quarterbacks, and then a offer went out to another one, and I think he ended up committing. I can't think of the name right now. So you know, Garcia, Cali quarterback, you know, they want to be the guy. As we've seen in Malik Henry before, you know, they all carry that about them. So Miami has De'Aaron King. They're putting together this really good class. I want to say they're second or third in the ACC right now with their class, and why not cap it off with a quarterback? As the season got started, and De'Aaron's having a successful season, I'm sure Jake's watching, seeing he's probably visioning himself in this offense, and I'm like, all right, my prediction may come true. And to see that decommitment letter last week, or I think it was last week, get dropped, I was like, all right, I feel comfortable now about my prediction from back in August. So and then I'm sure he built a relationship with Dilly and Norvell because he's how close he is to Tallahassee. I still think Miami is the destination for him, just because how long they've been talking with him while he was over in California, and how short notice it is between Luke and the now speaking with Jake. It's too short of a notice, and I mean, if I had to choose, I would probably go Milton because we did just take Purdy, who's a 4-star kid who probably has a high upside. And we threw him into the fire, you know, this year, just trying to make the best of the situation, and won't help the kid if you bring another 5-star, 4-star kid in, similar in age, you know, one of them going to leave at the end of the day because that's how recruiting is and college football is right now. So let him sit behind McKenzie if McKenzie comes here and for a year, and then boom, we get a soft redshirt freshman because the free year, you know, of this year, redshirt freshman and Purdy at quarterback. So
Yeah,
that's who I would choose.
that works out. That's something Nate has been talking about. Our recruiting insider here, he's been hearing very early on about also Miami and talking about Manny Diaz, and there's been some talk that obviously Derek King. It seems the word on the street that Derek King's staying another season. I guess that's something you've been hearing too on your end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, because it is a free year, and these guys are going to use it to the. I mean, he's going to come back, get more film, and then jet off to the league. Just because how loaded this QB class is for the draft. So I don't blame him. Jake's gonna go down there and compete, and he's next man up.
Yeah, that was the whole everybody trying to figure out the equation on Jake Garcia versus Milton if any of them were going to come to Florida State, and
Mm-hmm.
once Garcia was planning on opening up his recruitment, and then Miami was like, all right, well, if Derek King leaves, and most certainly Garcia will go there. But now it seems like even if King stays, that gives Milton a better reason to come to Florida State. So everybody's just trying to figure out an equation of how maybe one of these two are going to come to Florida State. But it seems like from what you're hearing, the few things that we've been hearing, it seems like they're all on the path of McKenzie Milton most likely becoming a Florida State Seminole unless something changes in the next couple of days, literally.
Yeah. Even though he doesn't have a timeline on when he's sending out the letter or dropping the note or whatever, I still think it'll be Florida State at the end of the day.
And now the Florida State fans will be happy. This day has been kind of just a roller coaster of good news, and then the last hour has just been absolutely heart-wrenching. Maybe that's because the Steelers lost. That's most likely what it is, and that's just, if I go down, everybody has to come down with me. So I think it's hilarious that everybody has to. So it just is what it is. They have to take the brutal hit just like I did the 5 hours. Just is what it is. If I'm going down with the ship, you all are coming down with me.
Hopefully we land. I mean, with Norvell, he finds these gems. At receiver, we landed a couple last year late. The guy from down south, Portier. I want to say that's how you pronounce his name. So I mean, just hold tight. I mean, McLean's a legit target to you want to land, but Norvell's gonna find somebody, and that kid's gonna grind to be the 4-star that he wasn't, and it is what it is. It's a part of recruiting, so.
It is. It sure is. Let me y'all throw some questions in here now. We'll go for about 5 minutes or so, or maybe over. I know I said I'd let y'all throw some questions in here to JJ. He said he'd be down to answer a good amount of y'all's questions. So
yeah, I am. Go ahead.
Our first question was ask him his thoughts on the Steelers loss, but that's something we don't need to talk about anymore.
I'm gonna just let them know. If you could, I'm on Twitter. You can find my work at JJ Garrett 247. And
go give him a follow right now. I'll put it.
Okay, I appreciate that. And Fly with the J Plane is my regular Twitter account. I just got on board with 247 this past football off season. So I still use both accounts. And I cover high school football in the Tampa Bay area. So on Friday nights, I'll tweet from my 247 account if you guys want updates on some kids that we're looking at in the Tampa Bay area. If you have any questions about any of the kids right now, I'll keep in contact with some of them for the most part. But going forward, if y'all have any questions, if Florida State offers a kid from Tampa, I'm almost certainly to get an interview with them just because of my face and they see me on the sidelines and stuff. So, yeah.
There's a question here for you, JJ, about if you have any scoop on any 2022 legacies of Florida State, guys there.
I thought before we jumped on live, I thought I was going to see Julian Armorello with St. Thomas. Well, he transferred to Columbus because St. Thomas comes up to Bloomingdale, which is a Tampa Bay area. So I thought I was going to see him and I definitely have some questions prepared for him, but not right now, to be honest. So I can't give you an update on that. Maybe like when the circuit gets back going and camps and stuff like that. I do like to attend the camps. So hopefully with COVID and hopefully we have a solution so the kids can start camping and get their actual ratings and stuff like that. I can give an update for you.
There's another question on here from Mick. He's asking, are you hearing anything as maybe any surprise commits in Florida State's radar right now?
The kid from Miami Central, maybe a flip pick. I got to confirm. I haven't done it yet. He's committed to Miami right now. Let me see if I can find him. And he goes to Central. And let me see. That would be my only one because how close we are to signing day. I want to say he's a guard or a center. Do they know who I'm talking about?
Is it Seymour? Lawrence Seymour?
Yeah, Lawrence Seymour. Yep. That would be my surprise for sure. Because I heard today that they might be pushing him out of the class. So he hasn't dropped a decommitment letter. He's still committed. He has no crystal ball predictions at this time, but I might be the first before signing day. So I'll definitely be working on that. But that's the only one that I've heard that might be a surprise.
Okay. Whenever you talk about offensive linemen and something heading in the positive trajectory of Florida State University, then fans are going to celebrate or be.
Yeah, I mean we got him ranked 4-star right now, so not 4-star, 4-star right now. And it's Miami Central. We had some good success from Central with Dalvin Cook, so
yeah,
he might be the next, but that's the only one I'm feeling confident in that I would put my name on.
Okay. So there's another question here from Jordan Neer asking, is there a scenario in which both Milton and Garcia go to Miami if King leaves? And obviously we talked a little bit earlier about King probably intending on staying, but if that were to happen, do you see that going on and Milton and Garcia go to Miami together?
I don't know. Just because McKenzie has this 1 year left. I'm sure he has dreams of going to the NFL, where he's going to be older going to the NFL. He can't use this or use a year to go to the league, but risk playing time fighting King and Garcia. So I'm not saying he's scared of competition or anything like that, but the more ideal fit is Florida State, where you have better odds of starting going into next fall.
Another question here. This is from QB7 asking, ask him if he thinks Destin Hill will be in Florida State's 21 class, wide receiver.
Yeah. I was working with some guys about him today because I kind of forgot he changed his last name to Peyton, or from Peyton. So whenever Peyton committed today, I got quite excited because I want Destin in the class. So then I started asking around, what about Hill now? How do my sources feel about it? They really didn't feel as strong as we used to in the summer before the season started. If I had to say, is he in this class for signing day, I'm gonna say no, but I definitely want him.
That's interesting. That's a different feeling than most. I think that was what Nate was feeling before the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
It was practically, even till half part of the season, it was almost like a silent commit level for the most part.
Now he went silent completely.
Yeah, so it's most certainly something to keep on. But do you think Florida State bringing in Milton changes a lot of things for these athletes at wide receiver, even running back, but most certainly your athletes that are coming, your playmakers that obviously Dillingham and Norvell have talked about bringing in playmakers. You think bringing them guys experience like Milton brings in wide receivers, but also maybe even offensive linemen?
I think grad transfers for sure will help out with Milton coming in. Just because he brings that veteran leadership. So veteran guys want to come in and they know what they're getting. It's just 1 year, so why not? And you can compete for this one position and get on the field. So I do feel confident with Milton coming, and he'll bring some guys with him.
Okay. Well, now the chat is mad at you now because of the Hill, your take on Hill. So now they came after you. They were all in on you on the Seymour thing. They're all after you.
I mean, it's part of recruiting. If you follow recruiting, that's highs and lows, just like today. Like I said, the Peyton kid we got from Northwestern, he's really good. But then as we're going to sleep, we got to decommit. And then, like we talked about earlier with Dugans possibly leaving, that hurts as well. And then Luke, seems like Luke has a group chat and already added McLean to it, So it's a part of recruiting. Luke probably wants Hill to come with him to Ole Miss. I don't think that happens just because of Ole Miss's class, but I just don't see Hill in our class as of right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I do not want to keep you on here for too much longer. I'll stay on here for the guys in the chat right now. I'll stay on here for another about 15 or so minutes, but I want to get JJ off here. We've been in here for a good while now, but I definitely appreciate you. I mean, I just got to know you and everything, but definitely want to keep connected with you. And I think you've got a long way ahead of you, a bright future too, in covering recruiting, because you're on a right trend. I definitely. I didn't even know your name before all this. This is what FSU does to you. You do a crystal ball of a quarterback on FSU goes up, but on my end of things, I hope you're definitely right, because Florida State definitely needs it. I think
yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate the kind words. I hope I'm right for my sake as well, just because I'm up and coming. I'm trying to get this thing going. So I want that track record to be there. And I've been following you guys for a while now, so definitely keep me in the contact, and I'll be always down to come back on.
Most certainly, man. It was a pleasure having you. Have a good evening, and we'll definitely stay in touch. And I'll definitely message you after I get done with this thing over here.
All right, for sure. Y'all take it easy.
Yes, man.